Welcome back. Now, there are many sentimental items that we hold dear to us, such as our photos, our videos, and even our social media accounts in this digital age. And these may have been used in our everyday lives as part of outreach programs or to generate an income. What happens, actually, when the eventuality of death steps in, or some misfortune that leaves us incapacitated? Well, today we will discuss ways in which we can preserve these assets, because they are digital assets, as well as how can they be passed on. The Administrator General and CEO of the Administrator General's Department, Stacie-Ann Carty, she's here, she's back to give us guidance. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning.
Stacie-Ann, I love when you
What a way to close.
Yes, very relevant.
So very relevant. Every week has been something interesting and relevant.
Great, great.
Let's talk about this, because as Dennis rightly said, these are assets. They may be in the digital space, but they are assets, and not in the way we typically think of an asset, but they are indeed assets.
Right.
How are we talking about, how do we work out this digital aspect of these things now?
So even if we're not going to talk about it as an asset, it's still a very precious memory.
Right.
So grandma is posting her grandchildren on social media. Then we have persons who are content creators like yourselves, persons who monetize their platforms. And the big question is, so what happens after you have died? So what is important to note is that every platform has different policies. So there is a society of trust and estate practitioners globally that gives us guidance notes to say, this goes with this platform, this goes with this platform, and what is called is legacy settings. So for the Apple people, all the Apple people, you know, they think themselves very different from the others. Dennis, you look slightly touched by that one, but Apple is very good at it. Apple has excellent legacy settings that is actually, you just have to go into settings and you nominate who is going to get access after you are no longer able to get access. It can be death, or it can be incapacitation, right? And so you can set all your Apple devices, but it changes over time because, you know, it's technology. So you have to keep current with your settings if you're an Apple person. You also have to look at which operating system you're running and so forth. If it is that you're on LinkedIn, you have to look at, do they have legacy settings? Recently, up to recently, they did not. As I said, it constantly evolves, so you have to keep current. But what they allow you to do is to deactivate the person's account if you are the person who is the estate administrator, once you can give them a copy of the death certificate. Then you're going to go over to Instagram. They also will not have legacy settings up till recently, but they will deactivate their account. Because you can imagine, after somebody has died and they keep on popping up into your feed,
it's kind of creepy.
Perfect word. Yes, perfect adjective. It's a little bit much for some persons, and so you may want to, at minimum, deactivate the account. If you go over to Facebook, you have a memorial page that you can have on Facebook. It
converts to in memorial. In memory of.
Right, but you have to request it. So these are things that you must think of if your loved one has died or whilst you're alive. Go through your social media account to see what are the legacy settings and how can you ensure that either you have a memorialized page, or if you are the person who is left behind as the family member, how do you contact the platform owner to let them deactivate their account? Some of them even require a court order if the person did not set up the legacy settings. Google has great ones as well for those who are not on social media, but you have an email. Most of us have at least an email account, at least that's our digital footprint. And they also have a setting where you can say, okay, if I've been inactive for a certain number of months, you send me an email to this other email account to see if I'm not there. If I get no response, you can deactivate it. Or I can nominate up to 10 people who can have access. What can they have access to? You know, if you're a 15-year-old, 20-year-old, you may not want your mother to have access to everything that you have there. So you could say, what can they get access to? And so these are things that we should think through. For those persons who, I'm not sure of TikTok, I'm not a TikTok user, but I know it's a platform that people monetize.
I was about to ask a question about monetization.
Go through and see what are the settings, because it's a business you're running, you know. And so you need to have the interest to go through, look at the settings. You can ask questions of the platform owner. What is going to happen if I can't access? Death is one thing, We know it's certain, but it can also be that you're temporarily incapacitated. You might still need to have your funds. So who can I nominate as a successor? Because remember, our tagline at the department is securing your legacy. All these things are part of your legacy. So how are you going to secure it after death or incapacitation?
Because, I mean, in past conversations, we've spoken about, you know, a motor vehicle.
Right.
We've spoken about, you know, property.
Yes,
business,
shares, business.
And now, in the reality is that in the digital age, you have... you can have somebody with a YouTube channel that brings in a regular YouTube check.
Correct.
And so now who is entitled, let's introduce some of the previous things that we've learned. You have wife and baby mother and kids or whatever. How do you streamline the YouTube checks to make sure that they go to who they're supposed to go to?
So YouTube, I'm not a YouTuber, but my understanding of it is that you have either a card that you can use to access the funds or it goes to an account. So if it is that you have an account, it would fall just in line as any other account. But these are things we have to turn our mind to. You know, I have some friends who every week I send out this video and they're like, Lord, you come with it again. We don't like to face the mortality, but the truth is it's going to happen. So let's just, now that we're on this side of the grave, put our things in order, because YouTube can be serious business. Serious business monetarily. So we have to see what happens after. We don't even have to be, as I'll say it over and over again, it doesn't have to only be death. It can simply be incapacitation. So those are things we must investigate. You are the creative, you have these platforms, and as I said, Grandma has her Facebook posting all her family. What's going to happen to all these images? Maybe you want them to take them down, so you need to have your legacy settings.
I've seen people fighting over I've seen Instagram page cause big argument, big argument. Say you have it and you make a post announcing funeral arrangements or something, and they cause big argument over something like that. Yeah, so it is a reality of the era in which we live. So it is a very poignant conversation. Thankfully, we have the AGD's office to help us with those things.
Always.
But also, it's something else that we need to be putting in our wills as well. So you set up the legacy stuff, but even access to the accounts post.
Passwords. What do you want to happen?
These are things we need to put in our wills now as well.
It's all a part of your plan, because we're just big on planning. That's what estate planning is about. So we just want to highlight to the audience that this is just one other asset class that we need to look at, how we're going to plan succession. What happens after.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Our guest has been Stacie-Ann Carty. Carty. Yes. Administrator General and CEO. Can I borrow these glasses? At Administrator General's Department. We take a short break for me to get my eyes checked, but there is more sunrise right after this. Oh, perfect. Right after, please.